Shimelle, and here's this week's sketch of the week. This week there is a block for photos, which could be one very big photo, or you can use several smaller photos to fill that space. So what I've started with is this week I've actually printed some photos at home, and I've used the Snapshots frame from Paislee Press. And it's a set of different frames that allow you to just drop your images in. So you're getting 4 images in 2 frames. And then it has a little spot for the date as well, or any other text that you might want to add there. And it works really, really easily. It comes in PNG and PSD, so you can use it in Photoshop or in another program if you prefer. So I've included 4 smaller photos, and this piece of paper was 6 by 8 to start with, and I'm going to trim it down just a little bit. So that's what I'm going to use here for the photo block element, and then I'll show you the other bits and pieces that I've picked out. I'm going to use this one, I think probably just this side piece from the Travel Light collection from We Are Memory Keepers. This B-side from Good Day Sunshine by My Mind's Eye. The other side has this kind of geometric floral, but this is kind of a nice orangey red that happens to match the photos quite well. And then a really old paper. This is an old scenic route paper that's kind of craft dots on cream. And it looks like this on the front side. And it doesn't have a date on it, but it is, it's probably going back maybe 2005, somewhere along there. But just a really versatile paper that I still had in my stash. I'm going to use a sheet of really dark brown cardstock to go around the whole layout, I think. But I also wanted to use some dark brown for these little borders here, but I don't need a whole sheet from that, so I've just pulled this one. I didn't have plain dark brown in my scrap basket, but I had this embossed piece, and I only need just a couple little strips, so that will work fine. And this was another option from the same Travel Light collection by We Are Memory Keepers. I think I'm going to go with the other one, but I wanted to have that one out to show you just another little option. So that's all the paper. And then for embellishments, I've got kind of a mix of old and new. For the journaling box, I have this Making Memories from the spiral journaling notebooks I used to do. This was from Noteworthy, I think, so that's probably at least 4 or 5 years old. No, 4 probably. And then I've pulled some things that are newer. These little die cuts are from the Boarding Pass Miscellany pack. I'm not sure which ones I'll use there. And then I've also pulled out the Boarding Pass stickers. So all of that Boarding Pass stuff is October Afternoon. And then I think I'm going to go with these fabric thickers for the title. That's the Amy Tangerine by American Crafts. Okay, so here's the rough sketch I'm starting with, and I'll take you through the layout from start to finish. The first thing I'm going to do is trim this photo block down just a little bit. I'm not going to cut straight into the frame, but I just want to even out the white space around the edge. Okay, so that piece is now 5 by 7, so it could easily just be one 5 by 7 print, or I could have printed it right onto a 5 by 7 piece of photo paper, but that 6 by 8 piece was just an offcut I had sat next to my printer. So if you look at the sketch, I need one pattern paper here for the whole background, one here for this large block across the center, and then something here for this border piece. And originally, when I drew it, I was thinking this would be like a large scalloped border piece, but I don't really think the scallops go with these particular photos. So instead, I'm just going to use a straight border here. So that's why I wanted to pull out these 2 pattern papers. Where'd the other one go? Here it is. This collection has several patterns that have a border kind of down the side that you could either use just as a full background and be able to layer more on it without having to do a lot of the layering. It's already there. Or you can trim this off and just use it as a border piece. So these were the 2 I was choosing from. This one could also work, but this one seemed a bit more like a road trip because they're in a car. And we actually went to this particular place by train, and this one has a train, so that was what just made the decision for me. So I'm just going to cut this strip and away from the rest of the pattern. And I'm going to use the cream with the dots as the full background and the red as the smaller piece. So just trim the extra bit off the branding strip off the cream. And then I'm going to cut this only in one direction because I'm going to go all the way across the 12-inch width, but I'm just going to mark kind of where I want to cut that. And that piece ended up 8 by 12. So that's going to go underneath with the border on top. And this is starting to look like the sketch a little bit. And then I want to add these two strips to frame this larger piece here, and that's what's going to come from the dark brown cardstock. I want to use a border punch with this, so I'm just making a straight edge that I can use with a border punch, and then I will cut or punch 2 strips straight across. This is the upper crust punch by Fiskars. It's been out for a while now. So those pieces make up the basic background, the kind of starting point for the layout. And then my plan is to trim 2 sides of this to then have a solid brown cardstock mat all the way across. I'm going to go ahead and adhere everything first, just to make those edges a little easier to cut, and just be able to cut them all in one go rather than have to cut all the pieces as I go. And I'm going to add some brown ink to this border piece and the larger block here. Here all the background paper is adhered, and then I trimmed this piece just a little bit smaller and added it to a sheet of brown cardstock. So everything there is in place, and then I'm just going to add the photo, the journaling, the title, and the embellishment right on top of that. So I have the photo block here and the journaling paper that I want to use. I'm not a big fan of the rough spiral edges, so I'm just going to trim this to a straight edge. And then find a place that's good for these. I think I will add a little ink to the notebook paper just to make it match everything else. I've already added ink to the edge of the photos. So what I'll do so that I can layer the notebook paper underneath is just not put the adhesive all the way to the edge there, and that way I can place this where I want it and then be able to still tuck the journaling paper underneath. So I'm just going to line this up here. And then need to pull it up a little bit. And then the journaling paper. Now, originally this sketch has the title up here in this space, but I think because I cut this block quite large, I'm going to put the title in this red space here, because I think otherwise this space is going to look a little bit too empty. So I'll probably use that space for the thickers. I also want to add some embellishment down here. This is a little bit of an awkward space where this journaling card has the nice pinked edge on 3 sides, but now there's this straight piece. I've put the journaling paper close to the photo here so that you can't really see it, but here it's a bit more obvious, so I prefer to cover that up. So I'm thinking I will layer some journaling cards down here or some stickers, and then it won't be so obvious. I started with a border sticker here, and then originally thought I was going to use those flashcards, but they're just a bit bigger than what I would like. They're quite heavy when it's compared to the size of the photos, and I don't want to take the attention away from the pictures. So I decided maybe some smaller elements would be better. So I'm going to use this airmail sticker, and so I'm just covering up this awkward bit of the journaling paper with the sticker. And then because the airmail sticker is then branded as a US stamp, and these photos aren't from the US, I'm going to cover up that piece with this long die cut. And this piece has all different words. Obviously you could cut apart and use as individual pieces, but I quite like them as a strip of words. So I'm just going to adhere that over the top there. And that gets rid of my awkward piece there of the journaling card. I want to bring this red and blue back in because I added that red and blue, but those colors don't appear anywhere else. So the same sticker sheet has these photo corners, but there's just two of them. So I'm going to put those on two alternating corners, but that means I'm putting the other one down here, and I think perhaps I should put that underneath the sticker. So we'll see if I can pull it up. And just square that up so it's evenly spaced with the frame like the other one. And then I'll stick all those layers back down on top. And now that red and blue piece isn't quite so oddball in comparison to the rest. It would be nice to get some green back into this section because there's green here and the title letters are going to be green. So if I have a look at the stickers that I pulled out, I can use some word stickers here that are in green. So I'll just, it's the same word that's right there, so maybe I'll pick a different one. There we go. I'll just add in another little bit of, maybe it goes here. Yeah, I like this little cap. And that way there's some green on that diagonal there. Okay, so I need to add my title and fill in my journaling, and then I'll have a look for any final embellishments I want to add. Here's the finished page. I added my journaling with brown ink on the journaling card, and then used two different letter stickers for the title, the large stickers, but then also some smaller letters in mini market stickers by October Afternoon. And I used those again in this little cluster of embellishments here so that I could bring a little bit more green down to this group of bits and pieces. And then I realized that the blue needed to come back up here so that the two corners would be a bit more balanced. So this is a blue chipboard piece from that same boarding pass collection. And I'll be honest, I wasn't quite sure what to title this page. It's all about a park in Japan where there are all these deer that run around wild and you feed them. And I actually threw it open on Twitter and Facebook to see if there were any suggestions for a name. And so far, the answers were quite funny, but nothing that really fit the tone of the page. And I know as soon as I stuck this down, I'm sure somebody's going to come up with an amazing example that would have been perfect, but I wasn't patient enough. So what I decided was there's another aspect to this particular location that we visited, because there's the deer, but there's also this really, really big temple, and I haven't scrapbooked those photos yet. So I figured I could label this as kind of the place, and then I will use the same sort of colors and bits and pieces to continue with the photos of the temple so that they kind of not necessarily need to work as a two-page spread, but that there's some continuity there. And that way this title, Adventures in Nara, will work to just kind of introduce that location in the album, and then I can title the other pages as I go. So that's this week's sketch to scrapbook page. Thanks for joining me, and I hope that you will create a page with this sketch and link us up on the blog so that we can see all the different pages that came from that same basic sketch to start. Thanks for watching.